as a PG podcast, but then Devin just kept on dropping shits and fucks, and
I'm just trying to figure out what's in her mouth.
I just want to see him interview Francesco Aquilini.
No, he's a good human being, is what he would say about himself, I'm sure.
Who's hosting this thing?
Take charge, Kevin, would you? Jesus.
First time we ever met those guys. That was the major drunken pub argument.
I think you guys are the worst.
I'm gonna have to probably watch some Canucks hockey, unfortunately.
Just making friends left, right, and center, and probably some enemies as well.
Tell him to shut up. He needs to hear that every once in a while.
Off to a good start.
All right. We are live.
It's okay to talk when it goes live.
We are live. Welcome to the Hockey Podcast. As you follow us on Twitter, podcast_hockey. Live on Facebook, facebook.com, The Hockey Podcast, youtube.com, The Hockey Podcast, where we are currently at the William Carlson of subscribers. So subscribe there, like us on Facebook, and of course, subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts, as we're sort of doing a pregame show. As for some godforsakenly unknown reason, the Vancouver Canucks and Montreal Canadiens are playing at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. It is currently 10:15 as we are live in the East. It's past, Sean, it is past Leaf fans' bedtime.
Oh yeah, it's past Leaf fans' bedtime. It's past Jets fans' bedtime. I don't know. It's weird. This game is starting. A game between the Habs and the Canucks is starting an hour and a half after a game that consists of the Anaheim Ducks and LA Kings. Saw that one today. That's weird.
Yeah. I know that we needed to make sure that the entire nation of Canada saw the Ottawa Edmonton game, but that game ended that game started at 5:05 Pacific and ended at 5:10 Pacific. Still, they're just skating on the ice now. That's formality wise. But we'll get through this here. We are we'll get done. We will get done before 8. So where do we start? There's let's start with the Flames, and then and then we'll get. How about we do this? We're going to flip this around. We'll do Flames, other NHL, and then end with the Canucks as we do. We can. You know what we can do? We can announce the lineup as the Canucks are warming up at 7:30. Not just good looking here, people. Not just good looking. I have a face for radio and a brain for science. Anyway. We'll start quickly with the Flames here, though. Daryl Sutter has arrived. He drove down the Queen Elizabeth Highway from Viking and his ranch down to Calgary, and he gets there, and everyone is under anticipation. What is going to happen, Sean? What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Bag skate him.
These bag skates him for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Actually,
Travis Green is looking at that and laughing, and Chris Tanev and Jacob Markstrom are laughing at everyone saying that this has been a bag skate when they're so used to the first practice of the year with Travis Green when they bag skate for I think it's about at least 15-20 minutes.
I understood what Daryl Sutter was kind of trying to do because he was explaining that this is about pace of play. You're not going to reinvent the training camp wheel halfway through the season. But I do wonder, and we sit and watch hockey, Sean. I'm not going to claim any in shape question for me at all, but I'm just asking from Daryl Sutter's perspective, from a National Hockey League coach perspective, the way he put them through the paces, and you look at how the Flames play period to period. It's like this isn't a consistency from a game to game issue. It's a period to period issue. And I believe that their worst period is actually the long change second period. Do the Flames have a bit of a conditioning issue that they're trying to work out?
No, you can't say that after a 3-minute bag skate. All that was Daryl Sutter setting the tone, and Daryl Sutter making sure that everyone on the Flames knows that you have to work your ass off during practice, during games. Anytime you lace up your skates under Daryl Sutter, you have to leave everything on the ice. That's all he was doing.
In 3 minutes?
In 3 minutes. Yeah, that's all he's doing. That's all, because you're not going to bag skate him for 15, 20 minutes middle of the season when you first come in, but he's setting the tone. That's all he's doing. All he's trying to do is find a way to send a quick and brief message saying, you have to show up, you have to put your work boots on, and you have to make sure that you're leaving it all out on the ice, because that's Daryl Sutter hockey.
Okay. Okay, I'll buy that. I think I thought it was an interesting way to introduce yourself. I think he came off. I don't think he came off as surly as everyone thought. I actually thought he defended the players pretty well for the most part. His comments on Ottawa were interesting. And on Edmonton, he called the first period against the Oilers the best period of hockey he's seen all year. He also said that the young guys needed to stepped up in Ottawa, and I think that was also I found very interesting as well. As I think it's one of the things we kind of talked about it on the weekend, but seems to me that Dylan Dubé and Andrew Mangiapane are going to be focuses of Daryl Sutter. I think guys that we think are going to thrive, and I think he kind of pointed that out, and Dylan Dubé was outstanding in the third period against Ottawa. He didn't mix up the lines either. I wondered if people were, I mean, I wasn't expecting like Lindholm with Lucic and Ronaldo or anything like that, but he didn't mix the lines up too much. The only significant change right now is Brett Richie, who's with Monahan and Goodrow. But as I said
to Chris,
how many
wingers is that for Monahan and Goodrow this year?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 wingers have been with Monahan and Goodrow. And as I said to Chrissy McGill on Twitter, she said at this point, if I played for the Flames, I could be on that wing. And I said I would be open-minded to that idea. She has as many goals as Josh Levo this season. So I think that's...
She's got a goal?
Oh, Josh has 1 goal? Okay.
Yeah, he scored on the weekend.
Oh, that's true. That's fair. Okay. But I actually don't mind the Brett Richie idea. I think that has the potential to work better than anything else. I'm open-minded to that. I also think it's interesting that Sam Bennett is not a centerman. He started on the wing with Derek Ryan and on the fourth line. Bennett feels like he's getting a fresh start. That is fascinating to me. And the defensive pairs didn't change, which I don't think we were expecting much of that. So it really doesn't seem like there was this drastic, we're blowing everything up and restarted. It really seems like, according to Matthew Tkachuk, they're keeping this style the same, as just change within the structure.
Yeah, and I didn't expect them to change the lines too much or change the D pairs. Daryl's going to come in and see firsthand what it looks like, because as much as you can watch on TV, you're not going to be able to see some of the little things and the details that some of these players either have or are missing in the roles that they're in. So he's going to want to watch for a game or two, see how they go, and then he'll make his decision. And we'll see what happens there. I'm not.
Look who. This is in wrestling what we call a run-in.
All of a sudden, it's just a cut to the music, and it's Stone Cold.
My God, that's Devin's music.
I got 2 hands or two beers in both hands, and just smashing them everywhere.
Yeah.
Just giving her hello,
hi. That was we already got a comment wondering where the heck you were. So there you go.
Well, first of all, parallax is DEVIN, not ON. But I'll forgive you. I appreciate your wanting me to come on to talk Calgary hockey. Let's go.
Let's go back here. We're going to go Flames, other NHL, and then Canucks. So that's how we're going to do this. So Daryl Sutter did a 3-minute bag skate for the Flames on a 40-minute practice. What are you? Were you expecting something different?
Maybe a bit more of a bag skate. I don't know. Like, are we really breaking down a practice here? For the love of God,
we're talking about practice, not a game. Not a game. Practice. No, it's. I mean, whatever the practice looks like, it doesn't really matter to me. He's solidifying the fact that 3 minutes. I don't know if it was it actually 3 minutes. Are we 100% sure? It was 3 minutes. And the players were not surprised because he told them that was exactly what he was going to do.
Totally, and he's within the 40 minutes. I'm sure he was solidifying some strategy and some the way that he wants to conduct himself and whether or not how he really wants to solidify himself as a coach, and that's fine. And part of that is work ethic. And sure, it's only 3 minutes, but I'm sure he doesn't want to really solidify himself as a really, really, really tough coach, but more as a players coach who cares about who each player is, but at the same time wants to make sure that work ethic is still at the forefront. And yeah, sure, 3 minutes isn't that much, but at the end of the practice, yeah, it can be a lot depending on what you're doing throughout that practice.
I'm going to ask the same question.
Great minds think alike there, Dev. That's exactly what I said.
Damn it. Sean's wrong. I'm right.
Even though they said the exact same thing. That's amazing. We should actually cut that. Who was right?
Oh, my God.
So you don't think there's a conditioning issue either?
If there was a conditioning issue, there's nothing you can do about it during the middle of the season. That's something that they'd have to come individually. Each player needs to come in and have that conditioning ready for the beginning of the season, especially within a condensed schedule. So if they're not conditioned now, there's no way in hell that they'll be conditioned through the end of the season or the playoffs.
Fair. Okay. Fair enough. The other thing that I'm curious now, we've been talking about that the Canucks are kind of in next season mode. How realistic are we looking at that the Flames are thinking playoffs now?
It's still a possibility. It's not out of the realm easily. I mean, the Canadiens still have a few games in hand, and we've seen so many swings within this season, within this North Division of teams doing well. I mean, look at the Edmonton Oilers right now. Last time I saw it was 6-0 against Ottawa after a week of just complete and utter shit from them. And yes, it's against Ottawa, but the momentum swings, and you're seeing it right now with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like they've lost 3 in a row. It's bound to happen. So the fact that you're thinking that Vancouver or even Calgary are out of it, it's calling it off isn't the best way to go, really. I mean, you still have a lot of season left. So it's Vancouver has 29 games under the belt. Montreal has 5 ahead of them, and Calgary has 2 ahead of Montreal. It's really not that far apart. You can really have a couple games where you play like shit, or a few games that you play like shit, and then you have a team lower than them come up and able to rise to the occasion. So especially within the season, you can't count them out. And if you're cruising and you're already thinking about that, you're fucked.
Fair. That's fair. The reason I'm asking is that I am wondering if part of this bringing in Daryl Sutter now is to prepare for next year.
The answer is yes. It's
Yeah,
both.
I agree with you. I mean, I mean, if they get into the playoffs, that's great. But I don't know. At the end of the day, if they don't, it may. I think that they want to see where this team is really at. I think that's the true question of what the second half of the season is about.
If Daryl Sutter was only signed for this year, then it's all about this year. But the fact that he is signed for this year plus 2 more after that says a lot.
So, Kevin, are you saying that the Flames aren't taking it day by day?
You know, Devin, we've discovered something here. You know how Tyler was reactionary to Sweetener? Sean is the same with day by day. Day by day is Sean's word. It irates him.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, I understand if you're a GM and you're saying you're taking it day by day, then yes, okay. But if you're a player saying it day by day is completely different, because that is exactly what you need to do. GMs need to be planning ahead, making sure they have a schedule and some sort of backing behind every decision that they make. But if they're going day by day, good Lord, you're the team that you cheer for, or the team that is involved with that GM is going to be drowning within the next couple of days.
Day by day by day by day, day by day by day by day. Anyway, so yeah, basically, well, that's where the Flames are maybe taking it day by day, or who knows what the Flames are doing. It'll be very interesting to see their first game tomorrow, 9:00 Eastern, 6:00 Pacific, 7 Mountain, against the beginning of Daryl Sutter 2.0. There was a great tweet from Connor McKenna with the NHL on ESPN. I should find it. Basically saying it's been 17 years since the last game that the ESPN had was the 2004 Stanley Cup Final, which between Tampa Bay and Calgary, and Daryl Sutter was the coach. And millions of Americans are going to be impressed that Daryl Sutter is still the coach of the Calgary Flames. I'll find the tweet. It was really funny.
Yeah. Please do.
Anyway, hang on. Anything else on the Flames that you guys want to talk about?
Well, I think I just follow up on one of our discussions from the last podcast. We put a poll about it as well. We talked about a little bit before, right when Devin was hopping on, about the defense pairs and what they should be doing with them. Because Kevin, you were someone who was thinking that they should be splitting up the Hanifin and Tanev pair to.
That's the tweet, by the way.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hi, Carl.
Anyway. Hi, Carl.
Yeah. But to whether or
Hi,
not,
Carl again.
whether or not they should split the Hanifin Tanev pair to help shore up the other two pairs. So we put out our poll, and Kevin, you're getting a little ratioed here.
The reason I asked is it's clear that there's Hanifin and Tanev, and then it seems like everybody else. And I mean, I think at some point this year, you are going to have to give Valimaki a little bit more time than Giordano. That has to happen at some point this year.
Yep.
So I'm open to changing that. I mean, I just asked if the Tanev and Gio need to play together. I mean, it certainly seems like Tanev has the ability of having defensemen improve around him. So that's why I thought maybe you would want to put Gio with him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to me, I get, now thinking a little bit about it, and, I wouldn't mind seeing an Anderson Valimaki going forward and Giordano with Nesterov, and start giving Valimaki more ice time. And I think Daryl Sutter is going to start doing that.
That pairing has been within the realm of possibility for the next, let's say 5 to 6 years. Like, honestly, if you really, really break it down and thinking about it, that they would should be together, and they should find some chemistry, because you do have Valimaki, who is a good overall two-way defenseman who has offensive upside, but then you have Anderson, who is willing to jump up in the play and have that drive and offensive flair that he can have, because he has the skating ability and he does have a decent shot. So I feel like they would be they would do very well together, and why not try it right now?
And what I've got up here are the on ice stats from the Flames' three major pairs. Like I filtered this by any pair that has played more than 50 minutes together. So they've basically stuck with these three pairs almost the whole season, save for a game here or there. And what's interesting to me is that you look at Nesterov and Valimaki, and they're actually doing pretty well. They're holding their own as a pair. It's the Giordano-Anderson pair that's the biggest issue, and which is interesting because you got your captain Mark Giordano, and then Anderson, who's supposed to be the guy that you're relying on to taking that step this year. And he's been playing decently and has been getting some power play time and getting points because of that. But 5-on-5, there's still a little bit of work to be done with Giordano and Anderson.
It's just because Giordano, for the love of God, give him less minutes. Give Anderson more minutes, and he will do well. Give him Valimaki. And you don't need to have a solidified pairing throughout the entire game. Like, honestly, there's a lot of teams out there that rotate pairings, and you do want to have that consistency. But at the same time, God, less is more with Gio, and give Anderson, even give Anderson just some more time to get away from Gio, because you do have that little bit of effect where if your defensive pairing isn't playing well with you, then you play down to their level. And Anderson is better than what he is playing right now, so you need to give him a different defensive partner a good majority of the time. Once again, less is more with Gio. Please, for the love of God, Daryl Sutter, do it.
I wonder, though, like, I'm not saying, like, in terms of defensive, I would put Tanev ahead of Giordano right now, for sure. But I wonder what it would be like to play with either of them. I wonder if, like, I mean, as Kevin BX says, Chris Tanev can play hockey with a cigarette in his mouth, kind of hanging out of his mouth. But I wonder, with Giordano, I wonder if it's a little bit about he's a very intense player. Like, look at, we'll use an example, Devin. Look at TJ Brody. He seems a lot more relaxed in Toronto.
He was relaxed here in Calgary. And he, like, for the World Cup, we were considering him to be on that team with Giordano because they played that well together. And it slowly declined after that for TJ Brody and for Mark Giordano, even though he won the Norris after that. I've said this before, Giordano, he has not been able to play the way he has played because of Father Time. He has not had the foot speed. He can't keep on doing the same things that he's tried to do in the past because he just physically can't keep up. And he just needs, like, he's a good defenseman. Don't get me wrong. He's still an NHL defenseman, but he needs to change his game. He needs to adapt to where his body is at, where in comparison to where the NHL is at. And if he doesn't adapt, he will fall by the wayside and he will be forgotten within the next 2 years.
Fair enough.
Who's the best skater out of Valimaki and Nesterov?
Valimaki.
Yeah, probably Valimaki. He has more confidence. He has a little bit more poise. Are you talking about just in skating in general or skating with the puck?
Skating in general, because with Gio losing some of his wheels, I think your choice would be to pair him with the better skater.
It would be Valimaki, but Nesterov, I feel like they would be a good third pairing defenseman, a defensive pairing, and you'd be able to push Valimaki to be, okay, this is, instead of being the third pairing defenseman and getting, 10 to 13 to 14 minutes a night, then you'd be able to push him up and promote him a little bit more, which is something that I feel like he needs, especially when you look at how he played overseas before the NHL training camp this year. He was one of the best players, if not the best player in that league. And that's because he was playing a shit ton. And if you listen to Derek England when he was still here, he said, when you play a lot, you're able to get into a groove a lot easier. You're able to get into the fabric of the game and get into that groove of knowing what's happening within that game. So you got to give him more minutes. Valimaki, you have to.
Yeah. And then because Giordano is a left shot who prefers playing on the left side, both Nesterov and Valimaki are left shot guys. I believe it's been Nesterov for the most part playing on the right side, but I know they have tried them both on the right side. So that would be the other issue, is who's more comfortable playing on the right side between those two. It would be who, and combining with the skating would be the two things I would look at to try to decide who I would pair with Giordano.
It's not about bringing the best out of Giordano. It's bringing out the best within that defensive core and within those 6 players that you have on the ice. You can limit Giordano's time and still have a top 4 or 2 other pairings that are going to be better than trying to appease Giordano, because he's not there anymore. He really isn't. So stop trying to appease him. Yes, he's your captain, but for how much longer?
That's a good question. Sorry, 1 second here. Sorry, having an issue. It will certainly be interesting what happens going forward and what Daryl Sutter is going to do. I think he does have a plan. What do you think, Devin? I guess we'll also touch on this. We sort of touched on this. The 6th winger to join the Sean Monahan, Johnny Gaudreau pair is named Brett Richie, who's been there before. What do you think of that?
I mean, who else are you going to try out there? Really, it's just a rotating door of trying to figure out.
You know what? I'm wrong. It's 7 because Matthew Tkachuk has played there too. I'm also wrong. Elias Lindholm played there.
There's been a rotating door of who's who on that right side, and sure, try Brett Richie. He's been playing well lately. Reward him with the way that he has played and the energy that he has brought. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, you're left with the same result that he has been in the past 6-7 years. So try it out there, see what happens. I still believe that Sam Bennett is probably your best bet as of right now within that realm of type of player you want up there, getting in the corners, getting gritty, getting dirty, but still has skill to try and make a play here and there. And he hasn't been as successful as you want it to be, but realistically, Sam Bennett is the best right winger with Sean and Johnny.
Fair. Hot Take Hockey says acquire Kerfoot and put him there. I think he's trying to. I think it. Devin, Leaf fans are in panic right now.
I don't know if they're in panic. I think they're just waiting for the playoffs and trying to figure out what trades they can make to make this team better, and with whichever way possible that is. And getting rid of Kerfoot seems to be the hot topic right now, because he hasn't really lived up to his contract or his cachet as of right now. So it's okay. Who is Cal Dubas wanting out of the Flames right now? Is it a Sam Bennett for Alex Kerfoot? Because Sam Bennett has shown that he plays best in playoffs? Maybe. But will Brad Treliving want an Alex Kerfoot outside of that? Having another center, another depth center? For the love of God, no.
The Flames need a right shot. Like, they do need I'm not – sorry, Devin. I see where Sean is coming from here. They need another right shot.
Oh my God. Okay. Yes, I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing the fact that he need another red shot. I'm disputing the fact that he's condescending towards what he said about the
Contradicting, you mean?
Contradicting about the Canucks in comparison to the Flames. And that is what I'm getting at. Because if it works, it works. Oh, great, awesome. But if it doesn't work, oh my God. That's a drop.
That's flip it. Yeah. Anyway, anything else on the Flames part here?
Well, once again, Sam Bennett says, quoted in saying that he has a new lease on life. That he is able to, he can see himself potentially being here because of the new coach in Daryl Sutter. And I hate keep on saying this, but I said it before that he is a Daryl Sutter type player and that he would be able to succeed under Daryl Sutter. So the fact that, Kev, you said last podcast that that Sam Bennett should not be playing for this team. I understand where you're coming from once again, but he does have a new voice within the room, and he probably has a new direction. And it's been said that he really, I know that he wants to get the best out of himself, and Daryl Sutter, I believe, will be. If Daryl Sutter cannot get the best out of him within Calgary, then yeah, for sure, keep him on the lineup because he's not making a difference.
I don't know what was said between Sam Bennett and Daryl Sutter. To be fair, if he feels that this is a fresh start, then he's willing to play. Then great. But the fact of the matter is he asked for a trade, and that still was awkward. And it still was an awkward situation. So I'll be open-minded with him, and I'll see where he's at for sure. He's going to be playing with Derek Ryan. I think that's a good pair. I think it's a good player to put Sam Bennett with. Is Derek Ryan is a responsible player. I think that'll be fine. So I'll be open-minded about that. Is that fair?
That's fair. But then once you're right, you'll be shoving it down my throat. So I'll be prepared.
Why would have I ever shoved anything down your throat?
This is a PG podcast, Kevin. So we can't talk about that.
All right, moving on.
So stuff and things. So, do we want to? Okay, do we NHL? Okay, let's go NHL here. This is back. Let me just get this. Make sure I have this all set up for us here. Give me 2 seconds because they're even bringing this back. It's quite exciting here. By the way, you got a laugh there from Parallax Prophecy. Loved your little joke there. But this is back. The NHL has returned to ESPN after 17 years. They have agreed. It's a $400 million deal, 7 years, 4 Stanley Cup Finals, including a Disney Plus streaming option. What is unknown is the second station that will be involved, whether it be NBC or Fox. But this is Satyar Shah tweeted out that there were a lot of owners that did not want to play this year in front of fans. And if that happened, this deal does not happen. So I know it's tough to give Gary Bettman kudos, but I think this is one to give Gary. This is one to give Gary Bettman some kudos here. It's not great to not having fans there. We all wish we could go to the games, but the fact that they're playing really helps, and I think helped the fact that this is why this deal is in front of us now.
Oh, it's great. And not to mention not even that, just that, but the fact that he's already doubled what NBC was paying on an annual basis. And there's still another shoe to drop. NBC was paying $200 million a year to have the exclusive rights to the NHL on TV in the States, and ESPN signed on for $400 million a year, and they're not exclusive. So even if it is just another $200 million with whoever else they're going with, whether it's the NBC again or someone else, you're still tripling what you had before. And that's fantastic. And as much as us Canadian hockey fans love to boo Gary Bettman, and everyone else loves to boo Gary Bettman, what he's done a lot to really help grow the footprint of the NHL, as well as the ability to bring in the money as well. So I was expecting a nice boost. I don't think I was expecting this big of a boost just for the half of it that ESPN signed on for, but it's a nice surprise, and it'll really help the NHL get through this rough patch for the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Gary Bettman, he's a part of the Hockey Hall of Fame for a reason, even when he has still tenure within. Has that ever happened, by the way? being inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame while you're still relevant and working?
A lot of the builders are still there's a few builders who've gotten that.
Well, okay. Well, either way, that speaks volumes to me of what he is as a businessman, what he is as a manager of the hockey league, or the NHL. So it's like it makes a lot of sense that he has made this deal. In my mind, it's not surprising, and he just keeps on making money for the owners. And why wouldn't you love that if you're an owner? Honestly. So good on him. Like I said, I'm not surprised. So, God, if he keeps going down this road, then I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps going on being the manager of the NHL or the NHL. So, it's good for the league. It's good for the owners. It's good for everybody.
Yeah, I think so. I think also, I hope that this is something that can help. We haven't talked about this much, and the Professional Women's Hockey Association, I hope that this is something that can help them as well. I think build that as well, work within there. And I also hope, just in terms of a big picture, ESPN continues to raise the level of what the expectation is for Sportsnet and TSN going forward. It's going to be interesting what that contract comes up next, what happens there. We talked about that. So we will just wait for the other shoe to drop, whether it's Fox and its Blue Puck or the NBC but NBC is in a very interesting position here because the NFL rights fees have doubled. And if you're the NBC, you don't want to give up the NFL rights fees. At all. Like, you really want to stay in that, and Fox is going to remain in that as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see who that other station is going to be and how that's going to be divvied up.
Yeah,
anyway,
but the NHL is in a good position with this deal already. So
yeah, absolutely. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is Patrick Kane played his 1,000th NHL game today. And Austin Matthews tweeted the greatest American player of all time. Is Patrick Kane the greatest American player to ever play in the NHL?
I don't think I can say that yet. He's well on his way. But you still have to look at Brett Hull, Mike Modano, Pat LaFontaine, Phil Housley, and Brian Leach. I think all those guys that I named, I think deserve to be in this discussion. You could probably name a few others, but I think those five, along with Patrick Kane, deserve to be right in that conversation. I think LaFontaine has the best points per game average for among American hockey players. So I think that for me, that puts him right up there, even though he didn't. His career was cut short with injuries.
American-born, Sean. You have Hull in there. How dare you?
I know, that's why
dare you, good shirt.
I had to change it.
Brett Hall was born in Belleville, Ontario. So, he's a traitor to Canada. He does not deserve to be in this conversation. No, for Brett Hall, obviously a great player. He's a dual citizen, and he chose to go with the Americans, which is his prerogative. But I think another person in there is Chris Chelios, and maybe not greatest all time, but he deserves to be in that conversation. But I am willing to say that Patrick Kane is the best of all time. You have Jeremy Roenick in there as well for me. But overall, it's inevitable. It's inevitable in my mind as of right now. And Austin Matthews could be a part of that as well. And some of you might shake your heads on that, but truthfully,
no, that's not an unreasonable. It's not unreasonable for that. Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like at the end of it, Matthews will take over Kane because his points per game, as of right now, is more than Patrick Kane. So, but as of right now, and when Kane retires, he probably will be, if not one or two, overall best American player.
Fair. And then we talked about the game going on here in about 5 minutes. Let's end this on the Canucks here. Any lineup news? PD's not playing for another week. That's what Travis Green says, so we're not expecting him tonight.
PD is dead. He will never come back.
He's the start.
He finally went on IR on Yahoo Fantasy Hockey, so I'm happy. I can actually replace him. No, it looks like the same lineup he's got as last game. Jordy Ben left last game with must have needed some stitches or something like that. I thought maybe they'd end up replacing him with Oleh Levy, who I think deserves to get back in, and deserves to be to get back in playing with Tyler Myers. Jordy Ben is a much better guy on the right side. He's blowing my mind on the handedness on the handedness thing because he's a left shot guy, but he's better on the right side. Yeah, that's right, Dev.
You're such a fucking hypocrite, man. Jesus Christ.
As are we all.
No, we're not. It's just you.
But yeah, it looks like it's the same lineup, and I'm just really hoping for another big game from Thatcher Demko, and then maybe the Canucks can start getting on a roll here because they've got Montreal tonight. Then Edmonton on Saturday, and then they play a couple against Ottawa. So if they can find a way to at least split the next two and then beat Ottawa for two, then they're right. They're gonna start making teams think. And going just circling a little bit back to what Devin said about the Flames' chances of making the playoffs, and you can't really just as a fan, you can kind of like look at it and go, well, the odds are long, and for both the Flames and the Canucks, the odds are long at this point. But you got as if you're in the organization, you still have to, especially the players and the coaches. You need to make sure that you're just going for it and seeing if you can scratch and claw your way back into it. And with the way Montreal is playing, I think there's still an opportunity there to find a way to claw back, but it's a tall task, and hopefully we can see some fun hockey going forwards with the Canucks, and maybe an extended stretch with JT Miller at center can change the mind of Travis Green so that he can go with a little bit of a deeper lineup and go with Miller, Horvat, and Pettersson down the middle.
Yeah. And I said this, I know that everyone has this, there's math out there, and I'm not disputing math. Well, I'm disputing math when I say this. If you win, all you can do is win your games. That is all that you can do. You cannot, this is where day by day does have to work, because you have to take this one game at a time. You can't tell if, If I was on radio and said you need to have a perfect show or you're fired, that's like just an overwhelming thing. Just take it day by day. It's just easier in that sense, right?
Kevin,
So
take it day by day, shift by shift, puck battle by puck battle,
exactly,
and you'll win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Inspiring words from Kevin.
You got to take a page out of Leon Draisaitl's book, getting a hat trick, 2 assists, 5 points on the night. Gotta love that if you're an Oilers fan. You're welcome, Graham.
Yeah, Graham, you're welcome.
Yeah, you piece of shit.
Right.
He loves you, Devin. Come on.
I love him sometimes too. That's great.
All right. Should we leave it there? Is there anything else we need to talk about?
No, there's a couple more things I want to talk about for sure.
Okay, sure.
There's Mikey DiPietro. Like the fact that he hasn't played a game in almost in over a year now is kind of ridiculous now for the Canucks, and they need to find a way to get him some games, and they need to find a way to make a trade or man, there've been so many goalies on waivers. They should have been able to find a goalie to claim a goalie off of waivers so that they can have a third goalie and send DiPietro down to Utica to get some games. I was listening to a friend of the show, Kevin Woodley, on the Vancast, and he was going off on this as well. And I'm so tired of him not playing games because he's a workhorse. He is someone who you want to find a way to give as many opportunities to as possible because he's going to make the most of them. He's making the most of this. Like the story that Kevin Woodley talked about was that he was basically creating goalie camp and goalie drills for himself during a couple morning skates, and Ian Clark had to kick him off the ice after 2 hours. So it's time for the Canucks to make a move here and to give Mikey DiPietro some starts, and even if it is in the AHL,
or even as a member of the Flames when you trade him for Riddick, that'd be fantastic. I'd love that. It'd be great.
So,
you're asking for a trade. I didn't know which way you're going with the trade. Who are you trading?
So the
Who are you
Moose
picking
are
up?
sorry. The Moose are not playing him.
No, he's not. He's on the taxi squad. He's stuck in limbo in the taxi squad. The Moose have Arthur Silovs, who's played one game, and then Jake Keeley is down in Utica playing I think one out of every 3 games or something like that. It's the Canucks need to find a way to get their goalies playing games, and the top at the top of the list is Mikey DiPietro and get him playing games, because there, as much as you can work on the basics and the details and the technique and everything like that, you still need to play games. You still need to see game situations, and the best way to do that is in games. So like it's time for them to find a way to get him some playing time, because if not, you could be potentially wasting a really good talent in Mikey DiPietro by doing so.
And you're not saying play with the Canucks, just play somewhere.
Yeah, my thing is find a way to get a third goalie in there and send them down to Utica, because sending him to the Moose is going to do nothing because they're not going to play him. Send him to Utica because that's their farm team, and let him play out the rest of the AHL season. Get him some fucking games.
Aren't the Canucks sharing Utica with the Blues?
Yeah, but they're sending down, but it's still their team. Like it's still their AHL team. So even if he's splitting games, he's still better than not playing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I guess it's whether or not Jim Benning is thinking once again amazing fucking shit that he is benefiting being around NHL players. And learning from Holtby and learning from Demko. That's the only reason why I would think that he would be up here right now. Period.
Is he up here?
he's on the taxi squad.
Oh, he's on the okay. He's on the sorry, I thought he was on the taxi squad with the Moose. Sorry, I'm not. I apologize.
Yeah, the NHL has required all teams to have a third goalie, whether it's on the taxi squad or on or scratched. And DiPietro's been stuck in limbo there, basically having to work practices this whole season, and hasn't played a game in. I don't know when the AHL shut things down, because today was the 1 year anniversary of the last Canucks game before the shutdown.
That's right.
So it's been around a year for him to play a single game.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Be ready for all these anniversaries to come up. Good Lord.
Yeah, tomorrow's another one. Yeah. I thought for some reason he was down with the Moose for some reason, and I haven't been thinking about him. I've had other things to think about in my own life. I apologize. Sorry, Mikey. I'll think about you more. The only other, I just want to throw in just another idea here. So how about a combination? We talked about this a little bit. If you go in combinations, what about a Miller-Gaudette combination going forward?
I like that. If the Canucks are going to keep Miller at center, what I want them to do is when Petey comes back, because I think when Petey comes back, you're going to pair him with Besser, right?
Yeah.
So after that, you're going to go. I want to see Hoglander, Miller, and Gaudette on a line. I think that would be a great look.
I was even thinking. Well, I was sort of thinking Miller, Mott, and Gaudette when Mott comes back.
Anybody know when Mott's coming back? God, he was your best. He was the Canucks' best player before he went down.
I don't know. I think he's still a couple weeks away.
He's at least a couple weeks away from what I understand.
Might be too late at that point.
We take it day by day, Devin.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Day by day.
We'll wait till tomorrow to reassess, and then we'll reassess the day after that. Okay.
For sure. And then after that, next day we'll reassess.
Yes, yeah. That's Saturday, Kevin.
That's fair. And so we're back on Sunday. We will be back.
That's one day after Saturday, so it's another day. Okay.
It's the day before Monday, before you recess again.
That's when you reassess again. So we will be recapping the Flames. It will be after the Flames play the Canadiens and the Canucks play the Oilers. So we'll be looking at those games. So it will have 2 games of Daryl Sutter under our belts. And then the Canucks continue. So we're going to leave it there for now. And how do we follow everyone?
I am Bearded Canucks 03 on Twitter.
I am Gordhouse09 on Twitter.
I am KVOLE, Schneids, SCHNEIDZ, Tyler's TNOBLE, podcast_hockey, Facebook.com, The Hockey Podcast, YouTube.com, The Hockey Podcast. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And thanks, everyone. We'll be watching the game now at 11 o'clock. It's currently 11:06 Eastern Time, and the Montreal Canadiens are about to go on their ice for their fans. Touch it. Anyway, we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.